LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa was joined at the LADWP headquarters downtown by former Vice President Al Gore, who is chairman of the Climate Reality Project, to make this announcement. Gore welcomes this historic plan.
I want to say in the strongest way I possibly can, this is a really big deal. This is a really big deal.
And that is because Los Angeles has the largest municipal-owned utility in the nation. There are still several details that need to be worked out, but if all goes according to plan, Los Angeles will become a leader in embracing clean, renewable energy. Saida Pagan produced that story for us. If the plan is approved, the first phases of the project should begin in 2015. It's the first event of its kind. A forum to end hunger called No Mas Hambre held its first meeting in LA before it travels to the rest of the country. As Anna Marcos tells us, the fastest growing population of the vulnerable and hungry are older Latinos.
Hunger is alive and well in the USA and spreading fast, especially among older Latino adults. The No Mas Hambre campaign brought the AARP, Latino Magazine, and other organizations and volunteers together to talk about the growing hunger pains that plague many Americans.
What it is, it's an initiative to raise awareness of hunger in the Latino community. Nearly 1 in 3 Latinos in this country go hungry, and it's often an issue that not many people are aware of.
Groups like MEND in Pacoima, which stands for Meet Each Need with Dignity, are creating new projects which teach residents to grow their own gardens. This man is bringing a program from Washington, D.C. to L.A. called L.A. Kitchen. It takes surplus food from restaurants and distributes it to the needy.
At the D.C. Central Kitchen, everybody works on the same side of the table, side by side. Whether you're somebody just out of prison, whether you're a young college student trying to get community service hours, whether you're the President of the United States.
Those on empty stomachs tell some harrowing stories.
He actually told me that as a youth, it was safer and healthier for him to be incarcerated in a California youth camp because it provided him 3 meals a day.
The man began to tell the story about his wife having a very serious medical situation, and because of their limited funds, they had come to a place where they had to make a choice about buying medicines for her or buying food. And on this day, he said, our cupboards are bare.
The good news is each of us can do something, either through volunteer work, by organizing our own food drive, or donating food, cash, or time.
This pledge card put out by the No Mas Hambre Foundation gets people to volunteer and make a commitment as to what they will do. For more information, you can visit www.drivetoendhunger.org.
Activists say hunger is about much more than food. It's also about jobs, education, nutritional awareness, and equal opportunity. Still, each step we take means another hungry mouth fed. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
And here's another food for thought. A full 40% of the food produced and grown in the U.S. is thrown away each day. Couponing isn't just for moms and dads on a budget. Many schools are getting in on the act in order to generate funding for the classroom. Rasha Goel explains.
3 LA area schools, Charles Barrett Elementary, Beethoven Street Elementary, and Mark Twain Elementary, were recently chosen as education heroes for helping make a difference in the lives of their students and communities. It was part of a contest held by the Box Tops Education Program, a national program which helps schools earn cash from coupons.
The way the program works is there's a coupon on different brands that you buy at the grocery store, and so things like Honey Nut Cheerios, things like Nature Valley granola bars, Progresso soup, all kinds of different brands that carry Box Tops products. So literally you clip the coupon off, you send it in your school, and each one is worth 10 cents.
The school collects and turns those clippings in exchange for cash. On average, schools can make over $900 a year through the program, but have a potential to make up to $60,000. The 3 winning schools were chosen from more than 30 entries for their innovative use of the box tops earnings. Charles Barrett Elementary School won for using its box tops for implementing an anti-bullying program through the use of performing arts. Beethoven Street Elementary in the Mar Vista area also made the list for funding the Morning Miles Club, giving kids a physical education option, something that had been eliminated by state budget cuts. And the third school, Mark Twain Elementary in Lawndale, was awarded for reviving its school garden, giving inner city students a chance to learn more about science and ecology.
This helps to give us the funds to keep the incentives going and the students be recognized for their accomplishments.
The Box Top program is aimed at getting more parents, especially from the Latino community, involved in their children's education.
There's a large number of Latinos who still don't know about box tops and the great things that it can do, and also because Box Tops wants them to get really engaged in their kids' schools.
The winning schools received a trophy and a check for 20,000 Box Tops, which is worth $2,000, an incentive to help create more smiles and winning experiences for students. In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Since the Box Tops for Education program began in 1996, schools have earned more than $525 million. A church in South Los Angeles is receiving quite an honor after serving the community for over 100 years. Cindy San Luis reports.
Whoa! Okay, there we go. There's a sign.
Councilmember Jan Perry joins members of this South Los Angeles community to celebrate the city's historic designation of the Episcopal Church of St. Philip the Evangelist.
There's a great history and a great bounty of information about this church and when it was founded that needed to be told. It's a story that needed to be told.
Founded in 1910, St. Philip's Church is the historically oldest African-American congregation of the Episcopal Diocese in Los Angeles. Valerie Lynn Shaw from the city's Board of Public Works is herself a parishioner.
A lot of the abolitionists were Episcopalians, and so the people who came on the Underground Railroad to Ohio were Jan and my ancestors came from, because she's from Ohio and we're from Ohio too. And a lot of them were Episcopalians. So I have fond memories of coming to this church. I remember the incense.
And so, in 2010, Councilmember Perry brought the historic designation proposal to the city's Cultural Heritage Commission, where it received support.
We understand that it's a distinguishing mark of recognition for those who conceived and organized and built this parish and its buildings.
This sign designates the church as a City of Los Angeles Cultural Heritage Commission Cultural Monument number 987. For many church members, the building houses many personal memories.
Being married in the church and having my children baptized in the church and some of my grandchildren.
The church was designed in the architectural style of Spanish colonial revival and still maintains many of its original elements, such as a modified gable roof shape and casement windows. Many agree that this community treasure is deserving of its historical designation. I'm Cindy San Luis for LA This Week.
An archive room to display the over 100-year history of the church is being created for the community. The LAPD teams up with the Sunshine Kids program to help raise awareness about children with cancer. As Gil Reyes tells us, the kids in the program don't let their disease define them.
Cancer survivors and their families took part in a 5K run in Elysian Park to benefit the Sunshine Kids program.
The Sunshine Kids Foundation for 31 years has been doing group activities for kids with cancer. So we organize fun events for kids that are suffering from cancer so they can get together, have fun, forget about their troubles, and just be kids again.
The event allowed children with cancer to prove to others and themselves that they can overcome obstacles. Cancer survivor Sophia Levy got to hang out with children going through what she experienced.
Because my hair's grown and it shows me that how kids are going to look when they're all done with their treatment, that how they're going to look how I look.
Right, so you could be with a kid that, say, is earlier on their treatment, but you can show them how it's going to be. Like, it's going to be okay, your hair's going to grow back.
Yeah.
After the race, we're going to shuttle the runners in our black and white vehicles, Code 3. We're going to go up to the Elysian Park Academy, and we're going to have a party.
Children got to ride in LAPD police cars on their way to the party at the police academy. The cheeseburgers were free, so were the games and outdoor activities. This marked the 5th year the LAPD hosted the event. In Elysian Park, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Cancer survivors and patients from Children's Hospital LA, Kaiser Permanente, and Miller Children's Hospital took part in the 5K event. The payout of the $1 million reward offered in the Christopher Dorner case may be in doubt. The battle between the city and digital billboard companies continues, and one councilman goes to Washington to seek funding for the LA River. These stories and more in City Beat. The city of Riverside is the first to rescind its pledge toward the $1 million reward that was offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of LA cop turned accused murderer Christopher Dorner. A Riverside spokeswoman says the city's $100,000 contribution was for Dorner's arrest and conviction. Instead, Dorner died of a self-inflicted wound in a burning cabin while surrounded by law enforcement on February 12th. Although more than 25 donors pledged reward money, many are hesitating to follow through. The Los Angeles Police Department said the money should be paid. So far, 2 parties have filed claims to the reward. The Los Angeles City Attorney's Office has called on billboard companies CBS and Clear Channel Outdoor to shut off more than 100 digital signs, citing a court order that determined the permits for them were given out illegally under a 2006 settlement. People who live near the signs have long complained the digital displays are a nuisance. A representative for Clear Channel Outdoor says the signs will remain up as they await the court's specific guidance. In the meantime, Clear Channel is working with the city to develop a path forward that will allow the reasonable use and location of digital signs in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles City Council has approved Councilman Mitchell Englander's motion instructing the Los Angeles Police Department to develop a system to enable the department and the public to file police reports online. Englander says the technology means officers would spend less time on paperwork and more time protecting the public. The system will be available for use only on lower-level crimes. More serious incidents like violent crimes, sexual assaults, hate crimes, and missing persons will continue to be filed over the phone or in person. Councilmember Ed Reyes recently returned from Washington, D.C., where he met with Senator Barbara Boxer and other leaders to move the Los Angeles River Ecosystem Restoration Feasibility Study forward. The study, which President Barack Obama included in his fiscal year 2013 budget, identifies sites where natural habitat can be restored along the river while maintaining adequate flood protection. The Los Angeles River Revitalization Master Plan, spearheaded by Councilman Reyes, is a 25 to 50-year blueprint to transform a more than 30-mile stretch of the river into a continuous green belt linking communities. Spring arrived on March 20th, marking a season of renewal. And in the Iranian community, it also marks the start of Nowruz, or Persian New Year. Nowruz lasts for 13 days and is a time for families to get together to share meals, pay visits to family and friends, and even do some spring cleaning. Half-seen displays representing the 7 elements of life, namely fire, earth, water, air, plants, animals, and humans, are also a common part of the Nowruz celebration. This year, Councilmember Jose Huizar helped celebrate Persian New Year at City Hall by inviting some of the Southland's most notable Persian Americans to council chambers.
Iranian or Persian New Year began about 15,000 years ago when humans became aware of the rhythmic seasonal changes in nature. Iranian New Year, or Nowruz, has no connection or affiliation with any religious or political or social institutions.
Huizar also took the chance to recognize the contributions of the city's Persian Americans.
We're becoming the world-class city that we know we are because of the revitalization of our heart of the city. A lot of that is because of many Persians who are investing in downtown, who never gave up on downtown.
An art contest helps students learn about diversity. Rasha Goel introduces us to some of the winners of the city's African American Heritage Month poster contest.
These young faces are the artists of today and visionaries of tomorrow. 24 students across the city of LA were recognized in a special ceremony for the annual African American Heritage Month poster competition, which was held at the LA Zoo.
You're all winners because you dared to dream, because you were willing to put on a piece of paper or a canvas, on a poster, your ideas about how we should celebrate African American Heritage Month, who are our heroes.
100 schools from kindergarten to high school participated in the competition. This year's theme, African American Pioneers. Winners were selected in 6 divisions.
This truly is a great event because it, again, underscores the commitment that we have in this city, across this country, and throughout the world on the tremendous diversity, the rich diversity that we all enjoy.
Actress Danielle Watt, who has been traveling across the country for other African American Heritage Month celebrations, was also on hand to present to the winners.
It was very inspiring to see them all excited and contributing to African American heritage, even though there were so many different ethnicities, but all sort of honoring the contributions of African Americans.
Winners received a trophy along with a bag full of art supplies, and the overall winner, known as the Best in Show, also received $300.
I chose to draw Arthur Ashe because he was one of the best tennis players, but yet he was not like self-centered like most athletes.
I painted Josephine Baker because I love to sing and dance.
And she also painted a little surprise gift for the mayor. These young winners can share their work with the community. Wells Fargo will be displaying this poster highlighting each of the top winners in the 6 divisions throughout their branches in Los Angeles and Orange County. Reporting from the LA Zoo, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
In this week's list of things to do, learning how to dye fabric, a play about the courage of the school lunch lady, and an exhibit at MoCA on happiness. Enjoy a day of crafting at the Japanese American National Museum on Saturday, April 6th at the Shibori Dyeing Workshop. You will learn about how to create pattern and texture on cloth. You will stitch, fold, twist, wrap, and roll fabrics new and old in order to produce unique designs and patterns. There will be lots of silks to explore, but feel free to bring some of your own. You'll even get to see a demonstration of how silk is reeled from a cocoon. The workshop starts at 11 a.m. The museum is located at 100 North Central Avenue in Little Tokyo. Prepayment is required. Call 213-625-0414 for details. Support your local school and watch an inspiring play. You can catch the play Lunch Lady Courage on Friday or Saturday, April 5th or 6th at 7:30 p.m. at the Robert F. Kennedy Community Schools Coconut Grove Theater, located at 701 South Catalina Street. Lunch Lady Courage is presented by Cornerstone Theater Company, a multi-ethnic ensemble-based theater company in Los Angeles. The play explores what happens when one cafeteria worker battles for the health of her children and the hundreds of students she serves food to each day. More details can be found at cornerstonetheater.org. And the Museum of Contemporary Art Los Angeles on Grand Avenue presents the first Los Angeles Museum exhibition of the work of graphic designer Stefan Sagmeister, who is perhaps best known for his album covers for Talking Heads, Lou Reed, OK Go, and the Rolling Stones, to name only a few. Centered around the designer's 10-year exploration of happiness, The Happy Show is a thematic exhibition of film, print, infographics, sculpture, and interactive installations. The exhibition, Stefan Sagmeister, The Happy Show, is on exhibit from now until June 9th. MoCA Grand Avenue is located at 250 South Grand Avenue, downtown. Go to moca.org for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. A bit of green has sprung up in a gray urban landscape, a makeover that comes with lots of earth-friendly play equipment. Anna Marcos brings us the grand opening of John Quimby Park.
3, 2, 1,
Many of the 1,000 or so kids from Hart Street Elementary down the street know they will be using this park often. Some of them were on hand to test out the brand new equipment at Winnetka's John Quimby Park.
Our students already have enjoyed playing on the equipment, as I know all 967 students at Hart will definitely do, because our students are from this community.
The $420,000 park was built with Quimby funds, which provide cash for parks from money generated by certain development projects. The kids wasted no time sliding, climbing, swinging, and trying out the state-of-the-art apparatus.
Please treasure the play area and not trash it. So, you know, it's going to take a team, it's going to take an effort from all the community just to take care of this park.
Young families, especially in this area, a lot of young families. I mean, look at this. Look at Hart Street, where the kids come from here, with about 1,000 students at Hart Street right near here. This is a residential area, and this apparatus is so needed.
This park promises to become the new gathering place in an area where gathering places for children are few and far between. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information on Department of Recreation and Parks events and facilities, visit laparks.org. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd. I want to welcome you to the Los Angeles City Council. Could I have quiet, please? Thank you. I want to invite you to the Los Angeles City Council meeting. We meet 3 times a week. We meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The public is welcome. You can come to just watch us work if you like, or if you need to speak on an item. We have public comment cards in the back. You get one of those, fill it out, and hand it to the sergeant, and you will be called. With that said, Mr. Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Carrasco, Corona, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Weston, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Alarcon moves, LaBonge seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Weezer moves, Garcetti seconds. Next.
Mr. President, items 1 through 5 are items noticed for public hearing.
Okay, members, we're going to run through the agenda quickly. Okay, do we have any cards?
Yes, sir, we do. We have cards on items 1 and 4.
Specials members? Okay, let's hold those 2 items and prepare to vote on the other items. Let us, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, let's go to the next section on the agenda, Mr. Clerk.
Items 6 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held. For item 6, a substitute ordinance has been submitted. However, it has yet to be circulated.
So let's hold that on the desk.
Yes, sir.
Members' specials on 7 through 9. Okay, let's prepare to vote on those items. Madam Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And, Mr. President, that ordinance will go over for a second read unless reconsidered later with 10 members. With 12 members.
In the event that we get to 12 members, I will call for a vote on reconsideration, and we'll take care of that business today. Okay, next we have items 10 through 26.
Yes, sir. They're items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Specials members, Mr. Parks.
We have item 24, and can we call it out of order?
Oh, yes, I've been informed of that, so that's going to be the first order of business. And I believe Mr. Alarcon has a reward motion as well. So other item specials members, Mr. Weezer.
23.
23 from Mr. Weezer. Cards.
Yes, sir. We have cards on items 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 21, 22, and 26.
Okay, let's hold those items and let's vote on the remaining items. Yes, Mr. Clerk, I see your hand. Are you trying to signal me?
Yes, sir. We're busy setting those items aside. If you could hold the vote for one quick second.
I will slow down at your request. We're ready to go? Okay, let's vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next, Mr. Clerk.
On the continuation agenda, item 27 is an item for which a public hearing has been held.
Okay, it has been held?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so public comment's been satisfied?
Yes, sir.
All right, specials on that item. 27 for Mr. Garcetti. All right, where does that bring us?
Mr. President, that takes us to presentations.
Okay, what I want to do quickly, though, is because it's my understanding, Mr. Parks, we have family members that are here today. If we could go to item 24. Mr. Koretz?
I think I missed item number 9. I wanted to call that special.
Okay, well, when I finish with this, then we'll ask for reconsideration. Just don't let me forget. Okay, now we're going to go to item 24, which is a reward motion for Mr. Parks. And Mr. Alarcon, are you ready with yours? Okay, so you go first, Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. I'd ask Ms. Keisha Hoy to come up with her sister to the podium. Colleagues, what we have today is a reward motion on a case that occurred on September the 2nd, 2012, approximately 3:45 a.m. The victim, Lavon Hoy, 32 years of age, was in the area of 98th Street in South Hobart when an unknown suspect, for an unknown reason, shot and killed him. And with that, his wife, Ms. Hoy, here, if you could make some comments.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Hoy. This is my sister, Tisha Hoy. We are here this morning on behalf of my husband, on behalf of our children and our extended family. We are pleading with the city to approve a reward for my husband who was killed September 2nd, 2012 through no fault of his own. He was a loving father, a loving husband, very giving, and this would really help me teach my children that there was justice for their father. It will help us give closure to the family. And also, I believe that the reward will be an incentive for individuals to turn in information to assist the 77th Division detectives for information leading to the apprehension of the individuals who did this to my husband.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Colleagues, this reward request was made by Detective Eric Crossan, Criminal Gang Homicide Division. We'd ask the public if they have any information regarding this incident that occurred on September the 2nd, 2010, 3:45 a.m. at 98th in South Hobart, to call Detective Crossan at 213-485-1383, and this is a request for a $50,000 reward.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you would open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So that is approved. Okay, Mr. Alarcon with item 26. Oh, we have one card on this item. Mr. John Walsh, item 26, a reward motion. Okay, Mr. Walsh passes. Mr. Alarcon.
Yes, council members, we normally do rewards related to police requests. This is unusual in that this is a request from the fire department. In the Sylmar area of the San Fernando Valley, we've experienced a series of we believe related fires, 16 since November. They've been consistent, and we expect that they will continue. And so we are asking for a reward of $10,000 that we believe will provide information that would lead to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for these fires. It's an unusual situation. They target cypress trees and some palms, but we have had an occasion where a structure was severely damaged, as well as I believe 1 or 2 vehicles. So we are very fortunate that nobody has died or been seriously injured. But frankly, that's just a fluke given the number of fires that are being lit in this area. It's a very concentrated area, a working class neighborhood, and we would like to inform the community about these fires, which occur in the middle of the night, and so many community members might not be aware. We want to put them on the alert to find the to be observant of any unusual activity, to report it to the fire department as quickly as possible. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the fire department to give more specific information.
Go right ahead, sir.
Good morning. David Yamahata, Deputy Chief, Los Angeles Fire Department. First off, on behalf of Fire Chief Brian Cummings, we'd like to thank Councilmember Alarcon for introducing this motion, and we hope that the rest of the council will support in approving this motion and moving forward. By establishing this reward, we're hopeful that we will be able to, the men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department will continue to provide public safety to the citizens of Los Angeles. Basically, what we're asking is the public's help in identifying either the person or persons that are involved in these arson fires. To keep it very simple, we're asking the public, if you see something, say something. I have here with me Senior Arson Investigator David Linsky that can provide a little bit more insight in terms of the arson fires.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your time, and Councilman Alarcon for bringing this forward for our office. Since early November of last year, investigators from the Los Angeles Fire Department Arson Counterterrorism Section have been working a series of fires which has culminated to a number of roughly 16 in the Sylmar area, and it encompasses roughly a square mile in a predominantly residential neighborhood. These fires are occurring after dark, mostly the late night, early morning hours where people are asleep. The targets of these particular fires are predominantly Italian cypress trees, which are ornamental trees which are typically next to structures. Fortunately, up to this point in time, we've had no significant structural damage, no injuries, no deaths due to the response and reporting of these fires to the fire department. So we are asking, as the chief and the councilman expressed, that anyone with information contact the Los Angeles Fire Department Arson Counterterrorism Section with any information at 213-893-9850. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Labange.
Mr. Alarcon, could I offer an amendment to this for raise it from $10,000 to $25,000? I think that would help in some of the challenges we've had in the past in Western Avenue and some of the things. So I could make that motion that it's be raised to $25,000 from the $10,000.
Second. I second it.
Yeah, as long as the fire department believes that that would be helpful. And they say yes, so absolutely. I'd be happy to accept it as a friendly amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, quickly, Alan, Mr. Clerk, if you could identify all of the ordinances that we can vote on now while we have 12 members.
Item 7 should be reconsidered to include in that vote. In the other ordinances have cards, so they'll require a public hearing. Those are 12 and 13, sir.
Okay, well, let's vote on reconsideration of item 7. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now we'll vote on item 7. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Labange, I understand you have a very special group of people visiting us today.
President, it's a great day when we have our friends from Great Britain who come in here, this great team that is here with us today. It's the British Army Taurus Squadron cricket team that's here. Give them a big welcome to Los Angeles, which is so important here. And all of their team coach is Major Keith Brewster and their manager, Captain Andrew Davison, along with many young men who've come here, but they're here because there's a special person that's here. Katie Hubbard. Katie, where are you, Katie? Come up here right now. This person right here has opened her arms up and created an opportunity for youth in Southern California to play the great game of cricket. And I know, Mr. President, when we chatted before the meeting, we talked about your great efforts in a cricket match. I don't know, it was about 1.5 minutes or whatever it was. I haven't got that far. But cricket is a great international sport. But Katie, you're the one who's made it happen by your passion. And before I say anything, I want you to say something. Katie Hubbard.
Thank you for the respect you've given me, but we use cricket in our inner cities as a form of conflict resolution. We've taught cricket to inner city youth who've been on the fringe of alternative lifestyles, and through cricket their lives have been changed around. They've been to England 3 times, and they've been to Australia and played the Aboriginal kids who also have the same problems, and cricket has been a really conflict resolution tool. So that's why I think the British Army cricket team contacted me and said, you know, we're coming over, could you help us have a good time? So that's what I'm trying to do, and introducing them to City Council. And they played a tournament on this weekend with Councilman Koretz was there, and they got to the finals and just lost by 4 runs. So they did me proud, and they did their country proud. More just with cricket, but they do their country proud because they fight for our nation and for this nation too. So I'm honored to be part of this tour. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, and I also want to give a shout out here because you help. You have what's the name of the team in Compton?
The Compton Homies and the Pups.
The Compton Homies and the Pups. And she's brought cricket there and given the change of the whole world, which is very special. I know you're a dear friend of Jan Perry, so give Katie Hiller another big hand right now. Thank you so much. So this is supported by the British Consulate. We know here in Brit Week is coming up, which is really Brit Month. In a few short times, they had opening day ceremonies at Whitley Park. Or Mr. Koretz, did you get to the plate, Mr. Koretz? And how did you do? More than a minute and a half? Not bad. Good job, Paul, on that there. This team is part of the Defense Technical Undergraduate Scheme, which is part of the Army for the Britain, and all of this here. I just want to thank everybody who's been a part of this. I know early on I got to be part of the LAPD football team as a coach, and to travel around, we used to get to go to Arizona, and now they go to New York and wherever, but you come here to Los Angeles, which is so special. And the Britons did a great job in the Olympic Games last summer, which is so fantastic. And Mr. Weston, may I say, I want to tell you such good news that our greatest Olympian in the 48 Games, Sammy Lee, who was missing, a gold medal winner on the 48 Games, was found, and he's safe, which was so special.
That's great news.
That was great news. So all this is good luck news. But we're happy to have you here. We want to make this presentation.
Before you do that, Mr. Labange, Mr. Koretz is on the queue.
Oh, I just wanted to say it was my honor, first of all, to throw out the first cricket ball, which I've never done before. But it's a tough sport. It's very similar to baseball, except without mitts. So I would imagine a lot of people have injured fingers and such. But it was great. It's an honor to host these gentlemen here and to watch them play. And you guys were terrific. I watched part of the first game, and you were slaughtering the opposition and just playing great. So it was great to watch. And I know you do so much great work beyond that, of course. So thank you all for being here, and it was my honor to join you over the weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koretz. And we all know how arts and athletics and music makes the world go round. So I want to present this first to Captain Andrew Davison with the Great Seal of the City of Los Angeles, signed by our president and myself, Mr. Wesson. Congratulations to welcome to you, Captain,
very much.
And the team officially on behalf of the people of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much for
Barry, you're going to say something in just a minute. And also, we love that voice. Sergeant Rohit Maham. Congratulations. We thank you so much. They've had a great visit. And they're also being shepherded along by Chief Mike Downey of the Los Angeles Police Department's team, which his representatives are here as well. But, Captain, I want you to say a few words about what does it mean to be here at this public microphone. You could say anything you want to the City Council of Los Angeles.
Really, that's very risky.
Almost anything. Go right ahead.
I would just like to thank you for hosting us so beautifully in this lovely city. It's the first time for all of us, all 21 of us on the team, and we're thoroughly enjoying our time with the cricket, with the social life, and getting to meet the real people who changed the lives of so many in this wonderful city. So thank you very much to yourself and all your members. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Okay, good. Let's give him a big hand, Mr. Wesson. All right, here we go. We're going in the back room right here. Yeah, we'll go this way. Come on, we'll go this way.
You know, Mr. Clerk, what I think we're going to do now, since we do have 12 members, I want to take up those other 2 ordinances, and I believe that was 12 and 13. So if I can ask for a vote of reconsideration on items 12. They weren't? Okay, so we're good. So now we want to call up, they were held special by cards, Mr. John Walsh and Mr. Dude. Please come forward on items 12.
I took this hat from the British Army.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, and also at jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. We'd like to first welcome back Mr. Garcetti, who wasn't here all of last February. He's here for a land use issue a little later in the meeting, and then he'll leave for his campaign.
He is not talking
No, let's stay on the subject, John, please.
What subject? Oh, solid waste. Well, you don't want me to tell you what solid waste means, do you? Solid waste means feces. You're doing a very good job at getting rid of 4 million people's feces every day by packing it together. And we think you're doing a good job. We'd like you to do a job with everybody here, but since Mr. Garcetti is allowed to be excused for a month,
John,
HollywoodHighlands.org.
Stay on the subject. Mr. Dude.
Some people call it feces, some people call it crap. There's a lot of names for it, okay? And I know what that's all about. If dogs do it, why can't we? You know what I mean? Dogs have dog houses. People do not have a...
Come on, you're really straying from the subject, Mr. Dude.
I'm getting
No, you're really not. So,
look, I'm going to the point that everybody needs a bathroom, and this city has no bathrooms. That's where we need to deposit our solid waste. Instead, we have to go to the alley and crap in the alley. Deposit our solid waste in the alley instead where we should. Get more public facilities like toilets in the city. At least put some outhouses. This is a city with no bathrooms. If you don't consume $20 at any restaurant, you cannot go to the bathroom. And when you have a public...
Mr. City Attorney, you're giving him a stretch on this one. I don't see the connection.
And when you have a bathroom, you have to pay for it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dude. You're really not on the subject. So, members, let's prepare to vote on the item now. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now we've got, before we go to the next ordinance, I believe, is today special to you for some reason, Mr. Koretz?
Yes, I wanted to ask that item 9 be called special.
No.
I can say. But
So, okay.
Wait.
Then I misunderstood. Your staff guy came up. You know what I thought you told me? That today was Paul's birthday.
Well, that might be true, too.
Oh, is it? Well, then, everybody, let's give a happy birthday to Paul Koretz.
Thank you.
I mean, you started talking about item 9, and I thought I had faulty information. Okay, now we have item 13, which is called special by Arnold Sachs. Welcome back, Mr. Sachs. And William Ernest Shinnick or something like that. Please come forward, sir, and help me with the pronunciation of your name.
Shunnawork. Like you don't like work.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I have written testimony here, and I was going to include that. And basically what I'm saying is these prices that we're paying for geothermal energy look like they're too low to actually support the operation of the plants. In which case, these guys are going to come back and say, if you know, it's going to be like having an elephant in your backyard. They're going to say, if you don't feed us, we're going to die and stink. And then we're going to, be left with no power or paying extra.
Sergeants, if you could please take the document. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sachs.
Yes.
Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. Since it's item 13 is also being part of item number 9, and item number 9 refers to no impact to the city's general fund, which is good. The Power Revenue Fund will provide an average annual expenditure of $11.3 million annually. That's coming from DWP. So, of course, there'll be no impact to the city's general fund. The question I have here, though, is item number 13. It mentions that there's the agreement is acting between the City of Los Angeles, acting by and through the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. If there's no effect to the general fund, why would the City of Los Angeles be involved in any part of this contract? Sounds to me, and knowing how the City Council and the city work, that somewhere down the highway, when they do come back for more money, it's going to be on the city's dole.
Okay, thank you. In fact, Mr. Koretz, what I'm going to do now is ask that we reconsider item 9, and we'll take up 9 and 13 together. So at this point, if we could vote on reconsideration of item 9, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Koretz on item 9. And Warren, we'll get to you next.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say this is exactly the kind of clean and renewable energy project we need DWP to bring in as quickly as possible. I'm thrilled that the city is now in the process of getting off coal power. The mayor had a press conference about it, but I think we all need to take a moment in these chambers and celebrate that fact. We are the first city in the country to commit to getting off coal power forever, and that's a major step forward in our war against the climate crisis. And I want to commend Ron Nichols for his leadership. It's definitely a new era at DWP, and everyone at DWP, here at City Hall and the environmental community who made it happen. We have 7 years until 2020 before DWP and its partners in Utah decide on a technological direction for the IPP power plant. I haven't been shy about expressing my feelings about natural gas. I think there's a lot of danger in fracking, and so I think we should be looking in a different direction. I want to encourage DWP to bring in even more renewable projects like Wild Rose and to do whatever research and development is necessary to move us boldly away from all the fossil fuels in the coming decade.
Thank you. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Koretz, for pointing out that. And we should commend our Ron Nichols, our general manager, and our mayor for moving forward on a plan to get us off of coal. And we are cleaning up our power supplies and kicking our coal habit as a city, and the whole nation is indeed watching us. Today in the Energy and Environment Committee, we will be discussing the Integrated Resource Plan for Power, and we will track closely DWP's strategy to exit coal. Now, as we implement getting out of coal, I want to make sure that we're not simply shifting from coal to other fossil fuels, but in fact moving towards clean, renewable sources. This item before us today is in fact moving us to a geothermal project in Nevada, which is a great example of how we can make this transition a truly sustainable one. This project offers 0.5% of our overall power supplies. It is very valuable as a baseload power that can come online this year. That quickly, folks, this year. And most importantly, it is competitively priced. I urge your support on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's vote. We're going to now vote on items 9 and 13. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, now we're going to move to item 10. Mr. Fiortani, if you could come forward. Mr. Huizar, you have a minute? Okay, Mr. Fiortani, before we begin, there are 2 cards on this, on your appointment. It's John Walsh and Dow House Dude. Please come forward.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Mr. Fiortani, you're not the worst politician in the world, by far. Okay? But it's time to give it up. You've lost so many times.
Mr.
I like
President,
when you almost beat up the white guy.
No, come on, John.
Look, he's speaking to me.
John. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Walsh, direct your questions to this council, please.
He has to go through you. Shorty. Okay. Shorty, tell Furutani he's an honest politician.
You are just a mean
And tell
man.
him, look,
do you take medication, or maybe you should?
Heckling.
You are
Constant
mean.
heckling. All I'm trying to do is tell Warren he's an honest guy. And all I get from you, well, HollywoodHighlands.org. You are garbage as a speaker.
Just 2 months ago, he was praising me. Boy, I tell you. Now, come on, Mr. Dude.
Hey, he said it wrong. You're not garbage, you're solid waste. No, I don't mean that. I mean, that's a better term.
Okay, Richard Pryor. Say what you want to say where it relates to item 10.
I only wish to speak half a minute, but you only work on 1 minute increments, so...
he still has not talked about disappointment.
Not yet.
He rarely does.
Give me a chance. I'm trying to explain how long I'm going to speak. Yeah. Well, yeah, why don't you sign him up? It doesn't matter who runs the show anyway. You all work together. Ha ha.
Okay, now let's get back to work. Mr. Furutani, welcome. I'm going to have you say a few words and how you see your role. We're excited about you joining the city family, and then I will open this up to statements from other members. I see we have our president or chair. Is it president or chair? President here with us today, Capri Maddox. But anyway, why don't you come up and let me give you some television time. Mr. Furutani, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, President Wesson, members of the Los Angeles City Council. It's an honor and a privilege to sit before you here today for this confirmation to be a commissioner on the Board of Public Works for the City of Los Angeles. I am honored that the mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa, has appointed me, and I'm excited about being confirmed by the City Council here today. Most all of you I've known for a lot of years. I've worked with several of you and have enjoyed the relationships. I've enjoyed being interviewed by Mr. Rosenthal way back in the day, and I really wish you the best with your health, sir. I really appreciate this opportunity because I think we're all about serving the public, and that's what this position as commissioner is all about. It's about dealing where literally the rubber meets the road for the city of Los Angeles, and it's going to be a pleasure to be a partner with you in this effort to make Los Angeles the great city it is and will be and should be. So I really welcome this opportunity. I'm really excited about working with my fellow commissioners, particularly our president, Capri Maddox, and I am open to any questions and look forward to discussions about how to get these things done in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Furutani. We'll start off with Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, and it's a great honor to stand up in front of you, someone who's made a huge difference with his life. Colleagues, I don't know if you know this, but Manzanar, which is a location where during World War II, Japanese Americans were actually in prison. And Warren has been one of the champions fighting for the rights of the Japanese Americans, and never again should there ever be that kind of action. When I went there and I saw family members with photos of their sons and daughters who were in the military, and realizing they're in a jaily kind of situation, it was outrageous. But then to see the Japanese industriousness, creating food, 90% of the food was self-sufficient, getting gardens of peace with plants and joy. Just an amazing thing. And I heard the life stories of 7 folks who were there during that horrible period. But I just wanted to stand up and thank you for your leadership in the Japanese community. We've got the marker that we're going to have at the corner of Lincoln and Venice Boulevard as a memorial. We're going to do a few others. And your continued leadership in the Japanese community is greatly appreciated by all of us. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Rosenthal.
Mr. Reyes. Thank you, Council President. I just want to rise and acknowledge Mr. Furutani. Thank you, sir, for your hard work. over the years, as a state official, we shared that special weekend when we would do the Chinatown Firecracker Run, which is an example of the many efforts you have accomplished in terms of getting the word out about education, issues of concern for our community in terms of development, and getting the attention we deserve in the different parts of the city that have been neglected for many years. So I want to thank you, Mr. Firotani, for that work. And we're still having the Firecracker Run. I'm sure you'll always be welcome back. Together with Mr. Mike Fong out there with the mayor's office, we were able to work together, and it's growing. When we started and you started shooting off those first starting lines, the crowd was growing. Now it's very, very exciting, and it's great to have you. So I look forward to working with you in the near future. I've got 14 weeks left, but we'll make the best of them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Councilman Reyes.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon.
Yes, council members, not to diminish the import of Manzanar and the Firecracker Run, I think it's important for the public to know that Warren has also been an activist on environmental issues and community organizing issues, specifically related to public works. And I think that that is probably the most prominent reason why the mayor has nominated Warren. In fact, just recently, his AB 2537 was signed by the governor into law, specifically to encourage volunteerism as it relates to public works projects. And I think that we have an advocate here who, based on his political activism over his lifetime, will provide us with eyes at the Public Works Commission that have a sensitivity toward what the community is thinking about a project that is going into their area. And also because of his environmental activism and the legislation that he has proposed and had signed by the governor, will have a sensitivity to ensure that Public Works is acting on behalf of the community, not only in terms of the service they need to provide, but also in terms of the potential for negative impact that might be occurring in the community. And so I think he will he will provide tremendous wisdom to the board that will enable it to do the hard work of transitioning our society from a society that doesn't want to deal with issues like trash and solid waste, which isn't when you go to the bathroom, and issues that nevertheless require that we move forward to ensure that we're using the latest technologies available, that we are taking care of a service, but at the same time improving how we take care of the public. I believe that the next generation of critical need or critical opportunity actually is in the area of recycling. And we've seen in San Jose where their move to an exclusive franchise agreement on the waste hauling has moved them from 20% recycling to 70% recycling. And if Warren weren't coming to the Board of Public Works, and if he were still in the legislature, I wouldn't be surprised if he would introduce legislation to get all of the cities to identify with what San Jose has accomplished. So, and actually, I would like to put that in the form of a question. Can you talk a little bit about what role you might play with regard to our need to move forward with recycling?
The issue of recycling is one of the fundamental challenges, I think, for all levels of government. The ability to make sure that what we use and what we waste gets minimized relative to getting thrown into the different dumps and sites that we have and is recycled and used again. I think it is a challenge of the 21st century and something that I think the city has been on the forefront of, as has been the state of California. So I'm excited about being able to continue that work at the local level where really, again, this is where the rubber meets the road and where really people's lives get affected by this. So, Councilman, I appreciate your comments, and you will find me a great partner in this endeavor and effort.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Weezar.
No, he didn't say Anderson.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and I just stand to support and applaud this appointment. I think it's incredible. We should call you Emeritus Assembly Member, Trustee, and Board Member. And you've not only been a role model for many of us. I recall when I was going to run for the school board, you gave me a lot of great advice on the school district, and you did great work there. You did great work at the trustee. And I'm looking forward to working with you as I chair the Energy and Environment Committee on the sanitation portion of your purview. We have a board now in Public Works that is proactive, undertaking some big issues. But what I like about the current board as well is that they're not only taking on some large issues, but they get involved in the nitty-gritty when it involves neighborhood issues. So I just want to remind all of us that we have a lot of large policy issues that we're moving forward, but at the same time, it comes down to the basics in neighborhoods and the service that our constituents rely upon us to serve. And I know this commission believes in that, and now with your addition and the work you've done, I know you will continue that work as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you in our Energy and Environment Committee, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Thank you. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as Vice Chair of Public Works, I typically have a series of questions for our nominee, but I have the good fortune of actually knowing our nominee very well and having served with him in the State Assembly. And so I just want to rise to speak in strong support and to thank the Mayor for an excellent choice in appointing Warren Furutani. Warren Furutani is somebody who has brought his life of experience to his public service. And I think that the experience that he's had as a school board member, as a community college board member, and as an assembly member are going to be invaluable on the Board of Public Works. This is a man who has built things, who has overseen large investments in infrastructure development and in construction, who's always been a steadfast environmentalist, who's used that passion as well to improve our investments in public works. But most importantly of all, I think what I saw up close and personal, serving with him on the floor of the State Assembly, is that unlike what often happens in Sacramento, where there is kind of a herd mentality that can develop sometimes, Warren Furutani is someone that you could always count on to stand up for principle and to stand up for the people of his district, whether or not that was the majority view. He had the ability to say no to power. He had the ability to speak independently about what he believed was right. And that is why we have a Board of Public Works, to be able to bring that independent judgment to the investments that we're making in our public infrastructure. And so I couldn't imagine a better choice for this position, and I just want to congratulate him and wish him well in his service and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zine of the 3rd District.
Thank you very much, Mr. LaBonge. Warren, I've known you for a long, long time. Very dedicated to the community, very dedicated to the state. A perfect position with your experience to move forward. So you've heard from all my colleagues the voice of support. I know your wife is there anxiously waiting to say, yes, he has it. So I want to say, yes, I do support this and support this vote. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Councilman Zine.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's probably too late because I think Mr. Krikorian said it all so perfectly. But we all know you. We've all been amazed by your terrific career of public service, and we're very lucky to have someone with your experience and capability on this body. You're also a good friend, so I'm delighted to have the opportunity to serve with you in this capacity, and look forward to working with you on the Energy and Environment Committee. I know you'll do a terrific job. We have a terrific board right now, and you will be the perfect complement to add to that. I know you'll do a great job. I'm very excited that you've gotten this appointment, that you're willing to provide this public service to the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you. Congratulations, Board, on that. We do have one public comment card. Arnold Sachs. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Appreciate it. So, members, we congratulate you for, Warren, all that history and service. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 6. And again, for clarification, there is a substitute ordinance that has been submitted and distributed for Council's consideration. Because of the substitute ordinance, Council needs to take whatever public speaker cards there are for this matter.
All right, now we have the card for Mr. Sachs for 6. This is the request for the man from Lenox, California, with his baseball hat on. Walking up. Mr. Sachs, I want you to be prepared to speak. Anybody else, give your cards to the sergeant. Thank you, Arnold. Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. The Office of Public Accountability. This is no community impact statement has been filed. No fiscal impact statement has been filed. Where is this budget coming from? Isn't that an impact statement or a fiscal impact statement or a budget statement? And how many people will be part of this administration for the, how many members of his staff will he have for the Office of Public Accountability? And doesn't this relate to the official that was hired for the DWP to do the input for the rate increases? Where is the funding from DWP? Is any money from DWP going to be incorporated into running this office? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, in July of last year, the Council requested the City Attorney to prepare an ordinance for the administration and operation of the Ratepayer Advocate's Office. This report meets the Council's request. It helps maintain the charter-mandated independence of the Ratepayer Advocate and enables the operation of the office as the Council and the voters intended. I understand from Dr. Pickle and City Attorney's Office that technical concerns about the staffing of the office have been resolved, but I do have some questions to follow up on that. If I could ask Dr. Pickle to please come up and double check on this and where we are with it so that we could, as you know, the Council has been very supportive of getting your office up and running. There have been delays longer than we've expected, but what is the status of staffing your office?
With the passage of this and help from the mayor's office, I'm able to go ahead with my staffing. I have a binder full of resumes for the the 3 classifications and the 4 positions I want to fill. So I'm prepared to move ahead at this time on my staffing.
And so have you received all approvals for staffing?
There is one item from the mayor that's pending for exemptions at the pause committee, but that also has a time limit for action on it.
Okay. And this office really came about through some grassroots efforts, neighborhood councils, advocates, and the intent or perspective from a lot of those was to make sure there was access to your office and some transparency. Do you believe there's public access through the adoption of this ordinance?
The ordinance will help. However, my office location is over in Figueroa Plaza, and that's turned out to be not a good location. In 11 months that we've been at that location, I've had one walk-in member who was a ratepayer and arguing for ratepayer interest. All my other visitors have been from the environmental and renewable energy community that were paid to be there.
Okay,
so it would help if I could have the office located in the City Hall area, City Hall East or the like.
Okay, we will follow up on that in my committee. And lastly, your office consists of 5-year term, and it is unclear about reappointment provisions. In order to ensure a strong and independent ratepayer advocate, it's important that we have a clarity on this matter. And has the city attorney opined about reappointment provisions?
Not yet. Those are not clear in the charter amendment, and they are not covered by the ordinances that have been passed regarding this office to date. So it would be helpful if the city attorney was requested to opine on this matter.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And we'll follow up on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Pickle, I can't stress enough how glad I am that you're there making sure our ratepayers have a strong voice and we have greater transparency in the department. I've said it in committee and I've said it in a lot of other places. One of the things I hope that you will take into account as time goes on is the real cost of fossil fuels and the huge impact that we have of much more dramatic storms, which I believe can be directly connected to the climate crisis, and the fact that within a few years we expect the valley to have 4 times the extremely hot days that we are experiencing now. So I just wanted to ask you if you have thought about that and if you're going to be trying to include that in terms of long-term planning when we look at the rates and the things we have to accomplish.
Absolutely. The importance of carbon is a key driver to what this city is doing, and the first item that needs to reflect true cost is the impact on climate change and carbon, and those are reflected in DWP's analyses as well as mine.
Well, thank you, and thank you again for your good work, and more to come in the future.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pickle. Dr. Pickle, good resident of the 4th District. The location I find more after so many years is you got to kind of go to the people. It's tough to get into public buildings. There's security checks, and it's, I know Congress member on the corner, council member on the corner. Maybe you go to a couple of, the Sherman Oaks Street Fair to get a booth and just listen to the people and try to reach out that way. I don't know if an office, because offices are tough to get into in the sense of security, or makes it welcome or intimidating. But I know 221 Figueroa is a building. 201 Figueroa, either one there. It's a plaza.
The paid parking is also, parking at that location is also a challenge.
Well, then I think we should work with the city attorney to see if they could do that. But there is a dynamic change there, and also our neighborhood councils, which there's almost 100. And I don't know if you reach out regionally, because you could get overworked, but try to find out and make sure there's representatives of industry, business, commerce, and the residents, both the tenants and single-family residents, in some dialogue here. This city was built by water and power. Without water, we're not a city. Without the power, which brings us this power here, and the blend that's necessary to bring power to Los Angeles. I know right now we're doing a big job on Los Feliz Boulevard to upgrade power systems because of a series of outages which needs to be duplicated throughout. So my office is open to you. And how do you join? Do you do, because sometimes we do joint meetings with departments. Have you done any joint meetings with a council member?
I have done, during the rate increases, I've done a number of joint meetings with council members. There were 17 meetings during that I've had last year.
Right.
This year I have met with neighborhood council groups nearly once a month. Also, I've met with, in your district, the Sherman Oaks Chamber of Commerce, and with a number of neighborhood alliance meetings.
Right. I think it's a dynamic needs to be changed and worked, and always reaching out. Lastly, I'll have one request: a sheet of paper. Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, San Diego Gas and Electric, PG&E, and what other private utilities are. Where do we rate as an agency in our rates? I want to see how we are to Glendale, Burbank, Long Beach. And if you could share that with all my colleagues, I think that would be good, because from time to time we get that report, but I think I see the smiling city attorney right there. I think that would be a good thing for us to have as a base to know where we are, megawatt to megawatt.
That information is on my website now for the utilities as of last fall. DWP, as part of its strategy, has just issued a presentation that will be in the energy environment either today or 2 weeks from today.
Did that list all of that?
It does.
Got it. Okay, so it's very important. Thank you very much. You want a personal copy, Mr. Parks?
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you're in a tough spot. You got to satisfy a lot of masters, The most important master are the public who voted to put this in. The reason the public did it, they don't trust DWP. They think they're ripping them off and they're screwing them and all this kind of stuff. So It was the citizen initiative to create you. So I have several questions. One, do you now have the resources to have an independent staff so you can analyze things?
Yes. I am now able, with the passage of this ordinance and a couple of exemptions that are going through the process, the ability to hire the staff I need for that purpose.
Excellent. Are our rates lower than private sector utility companies?
Yes, they are.
By how much?
Our rates, I don't know the percentage offhand. I don't want to get that wrong.
Sure,
I'll get
sure.
it back to you. But in comparison to the large utilities in our state, we're the second lowest. Only Sacramento Municipal Utility District is lower than we are for the residential customers.
Yeah, so are we mixing apples and oranges when they try to say, a worker there and a worker in the city? That's a private sector kind of firm concept, right, that we have there?
That's different, but you still have to make those comparisons.
Right.
In my years in consulting, a standard bar joke was to repeat the client's statement, we're different.
Yeah, good. Fracking, what do you think of fracking, oil fracking?
I think it's reduced our natural gas costs by a factor of 5 over the past 5 years.
Are you for nuclear or against it, or how do you feel about San Onofre?
New nuclear is frightfully expensive, and I believe those that are investing in it are making a mistake. Existing nuclear has to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Wow. When you look at the beaches and the erosion going on, we had the hottest year on record last year. We've had very little rain this year so far. What's your sensibilities about the climate change and its impact on all of this?
From a science perspective, you never say, I absolutely know.
Yeah, right.
But from a practical perspective, the consequences of not acting and being wrong are increasingly obvious.
Yeah, I was up in Malibu yesterday, and half the beach is gone. I mean, it just literally is gone. Well, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to your independent leadership and your independent accountability to the public, to the mayor, to the council, and to the rest of the city. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Labange.
Yeah, just for a quick thing, just for the record book, I believe Nick Patsourus was the first person to ever call for a ratepayer advocate. Do you know that to be true?
I'm not sure. There are a number of people that claim first authorship.
Who claims first credit? I want to know.
And I believe they're all right.
Come on, Tom, make it quick, because Mr. Zine is on the floor.
Fred.
Mr. Zine. And Mr. Zine complained to me for
No, I
giving
just
you
said that I was
special
on the
treatment.
queue, and that's just wanted to follow protocol. Thank you, Mr. President. When was your office established? What year?
The charter amendment creating this office was passed in 2011 in March.
All right, so 2011. So it's,
I joined the city on Valentine's Day last year.
and you'll never forget that heartwarming day and all the fun since then. So 2011, which is 2 years ago, it was established. And then you took over 2012. So now it's a year later, and now we're getting a staff on board. When will that staff actually be on the ground doing something to help that ratepayer advocate position?
I hope soon, although I always encounter some barrier that hadn't been anticipated. Most common challenge with this office has been, what are you? This ordinance clarifies that quite substantially. So passing this ordinance really helps me move ahead.
And the question on 2025 and coal, plan is to remove LA City from Arizona, Utah, and the coal by 2025. You on board with that?
In the near term, getting off of the Arizona coal from Navajo, that, at least based on the information I have from DWP, is being done at a fair price for the amount of carbon saved. More work is needed in terms of the cost, and it's a good thing we have 7 years to do it with regard to IPA.
And that will hopefully be replaced by solar, wind, something else other than increase in the rates?
The rates will increase.
Substantially?
Substantially.
Okay. And the budget for the office?
The budget for the office comes out of the general fund, and the general fund is reimbursed by DWP.
Do you have the number?
It is about $1.5 million per year.
1.5 million? Okay, I know that the ratepayer advocate is a position that was approved, I think it was Measure K if I'm not mistaken, to support this, to give the people of Los Angeles an independent analysis, and hopefully when your staff's in place that will be the case, because people keep talking about the rates. I know if we compare our rates to Edison rates are extremely higher, and maybe something needs to be done for educational purposes to say here's our rate, here's Edison rate, and it's also been mentioned about surrounding communities that are tied into the Edison. People don't realize the difference unless they see the numbers. And I think if we do some education with that, that'll help understand that yes, LA does have lower rates, substantially lower rates, and if you can't make a comparison, then they don't know that. And I think if something in that arena will help let the public know that the ratepayer advocate is in line to make sure the ratepayers and the business community has the best rates possible in comparison to everybody else.
Yes.
So that, hopefully that'll be one of the goals and one of the educational process.
We have that information out there now. DWP presented as part of their rate case, and they're also representing the latest as part of their strategic plan.
And maybe when they send the bills out, that can be included, some type of analysis comparison.
Yes.
And the general counsel that you have in your office is who?
The general counsel is the city attorney.
Okay, who from the city attorney's office?
I am usually supported by Fred Merkin.
Fred Merkin knows everything inside and out. Thank you. All right, thank you. I just wanted to make that mention, Fred, a long-standing city person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. And good to see you again, Dr. Pickle. Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, now let's go to item 23. And I have a card on 23 from John Walsh. Mr. Walsh, please come forward on item 23. Mr. Walsh passes. Mr. Huizar.
Mr. President, and I want to thank Mr. Garcetti for bringing this motion forward. It's a very serious matter in the southeast portion of the city of Los Angeles. Coincidentally, we also have a hearing on this matter in Energy and Environment Committee today, so we've agreed to send this to committee with the concurrence of Mr. Garcetti. Okay. What, do I need a motion for that, or are we just without objection, Mr. President?
Without objection, we'll refer it to committee. Okay, we're going to go to, yes?
6 forthwith, please.
Item 6 is forthwith.
Thank you.
And on item 4, it's my understanding that it's been, the Office of Finance wants us to continue that to what date, Guy? The 20th. Okay, with that said, we'll now go to item 27. Mr. Garcetti.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. And we have item 27 here before us today. I'd like to reopen the public hearing if we can. I know we're a little tight. If we can make it a minute per speaker, and I think we have about 10 speaker cards on both sides of this issue.
That's fine.
And I'll ask the city attorney to come forward to answer some things. And there's an amendment correcting condition 133 to reflect the intent of the SNAP specific plan.
Would you like to take the public comment first?
Yeah, let's do the comment first.
Okay. Doug Haynes, Arnold Sachs, John Walsh. I missed somebody. Annie Gagan. If you guys could just come forward. Mr. Haynes, Annie Gagan, Arnold Sachs, John Walsh. Yes.
First, my name is Doug Haynes, the Lamar Neighborhood Association. There was not previously posted the amendment. I'd like to be able to read it before I speak. City Attorney, do I have an opportunity to do that?
Well, why don't you
communicate
with the office from Council District 13?
It wasn't posted previously. It's now posted, but it wasn't posted when I checked.
So why don't you speak as if you haven't seen it, and then go talk to them.
All right.
But don't give up your time.
Well, it was just posted right now, so we had no notice of this. My name's Doug Haynes. I'm with the La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association. This is very frustrating for us, and it's really indicative of this whole process that we've been going through for 5.5 years on this project. This project could have been built years ago. Originally, Target came in for a by right, co-compliant, one-level store that was presented as CD13, which they rejected without anybody knowing about it. Instead, we've been presented this massive 420,000 square foot development with a 225,000 square foot parking garage above ground with a Target store on top of that. This totally eviscerates our specific plan. It's totally against everything the community wants. The Neighborhood Council is against it. Even the Hollywood Design Review Committee, which is handpicked by CD13, is totally opposed to it. No one's ever listened to us over all these years. We're already in litigation on this matter. This is the third time it's come before you. There are 3 pages on the agenda for entitlements on this, and I find it ironic that yesterday the Arroyo Seca specific plan, which is supposed to give some sort of certainty to community residents about the future of their zoning, was passed, and yet today you're voting to basically gut our specific plan. And thank you, and I'd like to, my time is up, I'd like to see what this amendment is.
Mr. Sachs, followed by Annie Gagan. So, Arnold, if you'd please come forward, followed by John Walsh.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. My concerns regarding this project, it seems to be somebody has filed an appeal on behalf of the Los Angeles Alliance for the New Economy. So I'm wondering, is this a project that will have a living ordinance portion to it, which is more low-income jobs? I mean, did you happen to read the article in the newspaper yesterday about the loss of jobs, or excuse me, a couple days ago, about the loss of jobs in the economy and the replacement of jobs with low-income jobs, the middle-class jobs that have been lost to only be replaced by low middle-class paying jobs, more of the same of which are being offered by a corporation like Target. So I'm wondering, you know, there was big complaints about Walmart going into Chinatown. Tell me the difference between the payrolls between Walmart and Target and what the differential is.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Gagan, followed by John Walsh, followed by Philip Starr.
Do you have my card?
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Ann Gagan. I'm from Hollywood. I oppose the Target Hollywood. It eviscerates the specific plan. It is a building over twice the allowed heights in an area of single-story buildings, blocking views and sky, and setting major precedents. It is opposed strongly by the community, who is finding with overdevelopment in Hollywood, it will just be another overdevelopment that will contribute to more gridlock on our streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John Walsh.
jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. I speak to everybody out here. If you elect him, this will come to your
Stay on the item. Stay on the item.
This will come to your neighborhood. A project like this will come to your neighborhood. Now stop interrupting me. And I'm telling you, this project is a monster.
You don't run this meeting. I do. If you get off the subject, I will stop you. No, you speak to the item.
The project is this man's brainchild. This project will spread all over and I just want to say, it's an orgy of developers. And if you want to see a picture of Garcetti having an orgy with developers, go to jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. If it's an X-rated picture, this is an orgy, and we're the ones who are being screwed. We are the ones who are being screwed with his smirk on his face.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Philip Starr. Philip Starr, you're disrupting the meeting now. Philip Starr, Rosemary DeMonte, R.J. Comer, I believe it is. Yes.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Philip Starr. I'm the director at the Hollywood WorkSource Center. We're the publicly funded WorkSource Center in the Hollywood region. We have over 100 job seekers a day come in looking for work. Many are qualified in the construction, security, and retail sectors, those sectors that would be employed if this project was moving forward. So we implore the city to move forward. This is a great opportunity for the community. We have many veterans looking for this work. They're qualified to work in these sectors. And we've had very positive experiences with Target in the past. We helped in the recruitment of their store in La Brea. They were a good employer. Our job seekers enjoyed working there. They would love to work at Target in Hollywood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Rosemary DeMonte, R.J. Kummer, I believe it is, and William Delvac. Please come forward. Yes.
Hello, I'm Rosemary DeMonte with the Citizens Coalition of Los Angeles. Our attorney, David Bell, couldn't attend today's hearing, although he calendared and attended Tuesday's hearing on behalf of Citizens CCLA. David is the sole attorney for his firm, and he requires more than 1 day's notice of hearing dates. David wished for me to express his objections to the project's violations of the Vermont Western Transit-Oriented District-Specific Plan, violations to requirements of CEQA, and the continuation of demolition and development work at the site despite all approvals being revoked last December, and City Council putting on a show today of having a hearing to determine such matters. Now, as a person who lives directly in line with this project, I'm offended that it is out of whack with the area around it. As Mr. Garcetti loves big and tall and whatever, I wish you would calm down a little bit. The digital signage on this building.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. R.J. Kummer, followed by William Delvac, followed by Mr. Dude. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Honorable City Council. My name is R.J. Comer. I represent Target, and I want to respond to the appeal that's before you and some of the comments you've heard. First of all, the specific plan allows exceptions, and seeking exceptions to a specific plan is a form of compliance with the specific plan. The opponents merely disagree with the thorough work that your planning department has done in finding that these specific plan exceptions should be granted. With regard to the change of condition is actually a change to make a condition comply with the specific plan. Condition 133 has been changed to comply with Section 6G4 of the specific plan. It was drafted in a manner that did not comply and has simply been changed to comply. The appeal essentially disagrees with your staff, and the reason it's been taken 5.5 years is not that the appellants haven't been listened to, but in fact they have been listened to. The reason we're doing an environmental impact report is because they asked for one. The reason we're here today is because they've asked for a new hearing. The city has been very responsive to the appellants. The appellants simply disagree with your staff, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Delvac, followed by Mr. Dude, followed by Kareem Ali. Yes, sir.
President Wesson, honorable members of the City Council, Bill Delvac on behalf of Target Corporation. Unfortunately for the members of this body, we are yet again in front of you because opponents have sought for 5.5 years to delay this project. The community has been involved. All the environmental studies have been done. The project's been fully vetted by the Planning Commission and by the Plum Committee. And what's happened over the last 5 years is the jobs that this project would have created, the economic development that this project will generate, the needs of shoppers in and around the Hollywood area have all been delayed for delay's sake. The time has come to approve this project. All the questions have been asked and answered 3 times in front of this body. We urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dude, followed by Kareem Ali, followed by Nicole of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. And Nicole, I'll let you come and pronounce your last name. Mr. Dude.
Yes, the fat cats are speaking. Approve our greedy projects. Approve what the people don't want you to approve because we got the money. Look, your cars are more like a lip ornament than anything else because you do not listen to the people. See? Lip ornaments for sale, $1.
Speak into the mic.
I don't want to.
All right. Okay, Mr. Kareem Ali. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Kareem Ali. I'm with the Target Corporation's Real Estate Department. I'd like to thank the city as well as Councilman Garcetti and staff for helping us bring this project together today. And we're in allowing Target to fulfill its commitment to the city by putting forth its philanthropic effort to the city, as well as bringing more jobs. And we want to thank you for all your help. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker.
Good morning, council members. Nicole Shahanian with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Yes. It's very phonetic. On behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, I'm here to show our strong support for this project. The project will provide Hollywood with much-needed neighborhood retail space while simultaneously reactivating a blighted block that has really become an eyesore in the community. We believe the size and the scope of the project is appropriate for the neighborhood, and it's located within a transit-oriented district, which will help to alleviate cross-town traffic as shoppers are able to stay in their own neighborhood. The Chamber is particularly pleased with the over 250 permanent, full-time and permanent and construction jobs that the project will provide. And we think that this is exactly the type of project that we need to bring to start making Hollywood a sustainable place to live and work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Labange, and then Mr. Garcetti, you can...
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to rise to support this project and understanding that this has been hard work. People have had opinions, but this company is the only company that I've ever gone into their store and seen that a percentage goes weekly to community activities throughout their state, throughout. Target is on target. And I know, Rosemary, I appreciate you. You're a businesswoman on Vermont, but I think you're off target on this. This has been a blighted site. A blighted site that needs to be developed. And Mr. Garcetti, you've done the right thing here. You've stuck with it. You haven't walked away from it. It has been a challenge. Osh is leaving across the street. They're going down to 3rd and La Brea. We got that to make sure there's a good tenant in that location as well. And next, the Sears building. These areas have not had the love and attention due to the challenges brought forth by some in the community. Let's get the right development. This is the right development. You're on target with this, Mr. Garcetti, and I just wanted to thank them for sticking with it and not walking away. I know many people who do want to see this area developed. The post office closed and moved. Other things moved away on Western Avenue. This is a challenge. This will bring great life. It'll be complementary to the Home Depot and also the workforce. Where's the workforce, folks? Again, they stand up again because the jobs that you're going to help people get will have impact right in the community that I share with you, Mr. Garcetti. So I want to thank you for your leadership, and I know a lot of people will be very happy to see this developed with that Target on the side. They won't have to go to West Hollywood. No offense, Mr. Koretz, but they don't have to go to the West Hollywood Target anymore. They got to go to the Hollywood Target, and it will cut down traffic. Thank you.
In fact, Mr. Garcetti, before I call on you, let me have the city attorney make an announcement.
Yes, just because it was raised earlier by a speaker, I confirmed with the CLA that the amending motion 27A had been posted on the board for at least 30 to 45 minutes before the hearing.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the members of the community on all sides of this issue. It certainly has been a long journey. Let me just ask City Attorney to establish a couple of things for the record. Why are we here today? Why are we hearing this case again? I know you had confidence that we had met the Brown Act before, but out of respect to the community and to process and to any of the challenges, we went above and beyond, I believe, even that, and making sure that we dotted every I, crossed every T. Could you kind of detail that for us today and just establish that for the record?
Yes, Ken Fong, Deputy City Attorney. What had happened is the last time this item was before you, the agenda described various exceptions to the specific plan. Mm-hmm. There was a letter written to our office saying that they thought that that was inappropriate under the Brown Act and insufficient. We thought that, in our legal opinion, that it would be sufficient, but in an abundance of caution, we recommended that you rehear the matter and list all 8 exceptions as had been done for the City Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. You know, we had a intersection just up the street more than a decade ago at Hollywood and Western that was known as one of the worst intersections anywhere in Los Angeles. It was my predecessor who laid some of the groundwork, Jackie Goldberg. Actually, it started with Mike Wu before, to do a large project that also met some opposition and some of the same fears, which I always respect people's fears. I don't think they come from an unreal place, and I think they're legitimate because we're all stuck in traffic. We're all wondering when the city can be better built out and when we can make sure that our neighborhoods have what we want. But that Ralph's grocery store, and a lot of people said back then, there's a grocery store in Los Feliz and there's one in Hollywood, and the housing and the neighborhood shopping center that was there. A lot of people said, let's not do that. But they pushed forward, went through a lot of different iterations of funding and tough times, and I was lucky enough to go there to the ribbon cutting. I inherited that. I didn't do any work on it. I just showed up because I had been elected. And we now have our own field office, catty corner from that. Above, across the street where there is the subway stop, there's housing and retail below that. Down the street, when we looked at a Walgreens coming in, there was a lot of opposition from some people saying we can't do that there, and we actually put affordable housing and a Walgreens, and it's an immensely successful store, and it's revitalized part of Sunset and Western. But nobody would say that Sunset or Western are not main streets and should not have opportunities for, I'll never forget the meeting I had my second year at Santa Monica and Western when we were looking at the old Sears site, and people said to the developer, I thought they'd say lower, 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 and regular community members, not briefed by anybody, not hired by the developer, said, we want you to go 6 stories or above, and please, can you bring a Target there? And I couldn't, it befuddled me at the time because I knew there was a Target just down the street that had opened up in West Hollywood. So that's really close. And they said, no, that's far enough away in this traffic that we want something right where we live. It'll reduce traffic, and it will actually make us have an opportunity so I don't have to be stuck on a bus or get in a car to go to West Hollywood, give them the sales tax money, we want it here. Well, it didn't land at that site, but it did land just up the street in a place that has been blighted and open. It's been a place where a lot of street prostitution goes on. There's a place where there's a lot of crime that's been going on, where we have Women's League who has threatened to leave because the traffic and the day, not the traffic, the day laborers and the traffic of the sex traffic that's going on there has been a blight. This will be a positive thing. Is it perfect? Is design absolutely ideal? Nothing ever is. But it is time to act on this. It's time to move forward. And I think that the one thing that was put before, the amendment here today, ensures that we will get some child care because the community, long before me, put in a station neighborhood area plan anticipating the red line to make sure there are neighborhood amenities. And that's going to be one of the amenities that comes from this, is some support for that in the community to have child care facilities, et cetera. This is jobs. This is neighborhood shopping. This is something taking a blighted property. It is time for us to move. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I know that not everybody's always pleased when we move forward, but now today is the right day to act. Let's do it.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right. Mr. Garcetti, it's my understanding that there's a clarification on, I believe, item 4.
Yeah, 14B and E was actually for the 30th, not the 20th of this month. B through E, I said.
Did you get that, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir, B through E.
Okay. Let's go to item 1, which was called special by Mr. Walsh, John Walsh, and Mr. Dude. Item 1, Mr. Walsh. Item 1, Mr. Dude.
Why do you keep calling me Mr. Dude? I put Juan Alcalá.
Look, wait till you come to the mic. You're disrupting the meeting. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. You can leave now for your campaign contribution now.
Stay on the item.
This concerns lighting. If you want to know our position on lighting, just go to jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com concerning lighting, concerning street lighting. And we need better street lighting, especially around the proposed Target. I'm telling you right now, you stay tuned. You think you saw anything now? Wait till you see public comment.
Stay on
Wait till you see public comment. Stay tuned, folks.
Stay on the item. Okay, Mr. Dude.
Okay, you keep calling me Mr. Dude even though I wrote my real name, Juan Alcalá, on the card. My name is Juan Alcalá. My
Okay.
name is not Mr. Dude.
Okay.
Mr. Dude is just
Stay on the item.
yeah, the item is call me by my name.
I will do that.
I don't care about what you do with
I will call you by your name, but you will speak to this item.
Yes, we do need better lighting. Thank you.
All right, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now, Mr. Clerk, you said we still need to vote on 4A or one of the...
Yes, sir. Item 4A is still before you. 4B through E has been continued to April 30th. 4A remains.
Okay, on item 4, is a Jonas here? Did we take care of his issue? Yeah? Yes, we did. That's Abby. Okay, so we continued that item. So there are no other public comment cards. Let's prepare to vote on this item. It's item 4. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
What's the next item, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings us to item 14, called Special for Cards.
Okay, item 14 is Arnold Sachs. I have a card from Mr. John Walsh. I have a card from Rick Marquise, is it? And Juan Alcali, I'm going to have to get used to pronouncing your name, and I will do my best. Oh, he's out of time. John, you pass? Okay. What about Mr. Sachs? Mr. Sachs, I don't see him. Rick Marquise? Oh, Mr. Marquise passes. Is Mr. Juan out of time? Yes, he's out. You're out of time.
Yes, my name is
You are out of time.
Alcala.
You are out of time.
Okay.
I'm informed by the clerk. Okay, so let's prepare to vote on this matter. Let us open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, what's our next item?
Item 15, called Special for Cards.
Mr. Sachs. I do not see Mr. Sachs. Let's prepare to vote on this. Item 15. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item 17, I guess, is next, or is it?
Yes, sir.
Item 17. Does Mr. Walsh have more time?
Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Okay, Mr. John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org. You have 1 minute left, Mr. Walsh, and this is on item 17.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org and at jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. This concerns a high-risk, high-need, safe passage, safe zones. I'm familiar with this, 25 years with LAUSD. The neighborhoods here in LA are so bad that we have to set up pathways for the children to get to school so that they're not attacked. We should have pathways for everybody. And the police guard these pathways only in LA. That's how bad things are. Stay tuned for public comment. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
What's next, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings us to item 21, called Special for Cards.
21 is Mr. Sachs. He is not here. Let's, on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, next item.
Item 22, called Special for Cards.
Item 22 was called special by Mr. Sachs as well. He is not here. If we could please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
General public comment.
Okay, thank you. 1 second, Marshall. Jacob Miller, Arno Sachs, Annie Gagan, Doug Haynes.
Thank you. Jacob Miller, Los Angeles Animal Services. I've been an animal care technician for the last 11 years. I would like to take a moment to thank Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Koretz, and Mr. Zine for your support of animal services through this troubled time. I'm actually happy to announce that they're going to be putting through a motion that's going to get the ball rolling, perhaps, on getting us 16 new animal care technicians. And we hope that the rest of the council supports this and puts this through to the mayor so we can get whatever is necessary onto the budget and get the funding needed for this. As our general manager stated, we are treading water, and we will continue to tread water, and we will continue to do a good job with animal services, with or without the added staff. However, the added staff is definitely a necessity if we want to move forward, increasing adoptions, decreasing euthanasia, and holding up our obligation to the City of Los Angeles that we made through Proposition F in getting these new shelters online. I also want to take a moment to thank the rescue community and the animal lovers of Los Angeles for stepping up and bringing our general manager's recent poor decision up to the forefront and getting the ball rolling so we can come up with some meaningful and positive solutions to this issue plaguing the department. And once again, thank you very much for all of your support and for everybody that has helped us out throughout this troubling time. And we look forward to working with the general manager and to setting up a joint labor management committee in order to get open and honest and public dialogue going between the staff and between our general manager. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Annie Gagan, Doug Haynes.
Good morning. I would like to address the Millennium Project issue. I would like to commend Council members Labange and Garcetti for coming out publicly and opposing the projects as they are proposed right now. Over 30 Hillside Federation organizations and communities, 3 Hollywood neighborhood councils, Hollywood Heritage, Hancock Park Association, 400 members, and an online petition of close to 1,500 signatures have all opposed the Millennium Projects. They're opposing 55-story buildings that will be more than half the height of the Empire State Building and the density of LA Live and Staples Center, plopped on Vine Street in Hollywood, which is already choked with congestion and traffic. The Capitol Records Building is Cultural Monument number 857. It will not be, quote, framed by these projects, as the developer says, but it will be dwarfed by them. We have been given designated street corners of which we will be able to view the Capitol Records Building, an iconic Hollywood landmark that has always been open and free to all the public to view. The Hollywood Hills and the iconic Hollywood sign will be viewed from observation decks on the 55-story skyscrapers that will block the view. These are other areas that have always been open to the public. It is time for the council members, and we're hoping that Eric Garcetti and Mr. Labange will lead them in staking claim in what is ours, what belongs to you and to all of us. These are things that people come from all over the world to see. They belong to us. They're not to be obscured, obliterated, or dwarfed by new developments. We're not against development, but we're for sensible, reasonable development. I think it's time for people to go back to the table, learn how to negotiate, and help this developer learn how to compromise. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Haynes.
My name is Doug Haynes. I think Annie really articulated much better than I the concerns about the Millennium Project. But what I wanted to speak about on behalf of my community, I'm a member of the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council. We haven't taken a position on this, but the focus seems to be on the height of these buildings and also the density. But there's another concern. The EIR said for the Millennium Project it would require another elementary school and potentially another middle school. In 2004, LUSD proposed to wipe out my neighborhood and the homes of 225 people for an additional middle school That would have served actually King Middle School 2 miles away, and it would continue busing, but ours was the cheapest land. Whenever schools go in, they don't take out commercial property, they take residential property. So for us, this is very personal. The homes of my community, my members of my community were threatened then. It was through 2 years of litigation we were able to save our community and make it a better place. If the Monument Project goes through, potentially again, we are threatened. So I hope you will take all of this into consideration when it comes before you and think about all aspects of this project. Thank you.
Henry, I want to say it, self-employed. Where's Henry? Henry Tillman. Wait to the microphone, Henry, sorry. Followed by Mr. Walsh and Rosemary DeMont.
And ever since you told me to speak my heart out, I've been trying to help each administrator reconstruct trust in the city of Los Angeles. Now, you know, you sheltered our money as shown in black and white in Hackler and Kohler MOUs. Now, you know you have a fiduciary duty to account for any money sheltered from the pay of Hackler and Kohler employees. So that would appear to be a trust violation. And as of January 1st, anyone guilty of trust violations shall not be allowed a place on this city seat or the mayor's office or anywhere else. So it might would appear that Mr. Kevin James is going to win this election by default if you don't account for the time and money of others before Election Day, May 21st of this year. And tomorrow is the 163rd anniversary of people in this city council having to change how they used to do business to how they do business in America. And that was 5 months and 5 days before this city became, in this state, subject to state and federal laws in regard to paying people in a free state of California. And so I'm going to have to call that discrimination if you don't account for the time and pay of me and others at the prevailing wage rate, subject to prevailing wage rate and trust laws in the United States of America. So it looks like Kevin James is going to be on a new mayor by default.
John Walsh.
John Walsh, for the record. Eric Garcetti has left. If you want to know why, just go to his calendar. He's right now talking about the Earned Income Tax Credit El Centro del Pueblo, a campaign speech. He left once he got his developer's deal. Incidentally, if the developer's deal is an orgy. Now, the other day, yesterday, there was another orgy with James and Garcetti. Now, this is the only XXX I've ever put on my website, jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. Do not allow your children to see this picture. They have to be 18. But if you want to see Garcetti and you want to see Kevin James and you want to see the developers doing the dirty deed, just go there. Everything, nothing is left to your imagination on jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. Look. See how the anxiety level goes down once Garcetti and once Wesson leaves? There's no heckling. All I'm saying, I can look at the camera here. The city attorney guy is keeping his mouth shut. Do not vote for him. We've had 8 years of this guy, Garcetti. Hold your nose and vote for her. Vote for Gruel. Because what they've done to Hollywood, they will do to your neighborhood. Don't trust him. My great-grandfather, Leo Berger, left Europe, and he said, something's going to happen. He was a Hungarian Jew, and they laughed at him, the other Hungarian Jews, in 1880. And you know what? He lived through the Holocaust living in New York City, while those who laughed at him and said there's nothing to worry about ended up in the ovens. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the paranoia of a Hungarian Jew named Leo Berger, who got his butt out of Nazi Europe.
Rosemary
HollywoodHighlands.org.
DeMont. Rosemary DeMont.
Hi. Hello again. I'm Rosemary DeMonte, and I really want to talk to the City Council here today to say that we are not against development. We're not against jobs, because no matter what, we want a project, and there'll be people working if it's not huge. The Millennium Project is so out of proportion to what is needed in Hollywood. It is a beautiful project. I really like a lot it's in that project. I only wish that you would just bring down the towers, that's all, to a reasonable height within the historic core of Hollywood. And remember, it is Hollywood. It is not Manhattan. You've today talked about water, electricity, all of that. If you put these huge projects, and this is just one project we're talking about in Hollywood, but there are a great deal more, and all of those toilets that gentleman says we need are going to be there, flushing into using water that we do not have in the city. This year we had to buy our 2/3 of our water supply from the Metropolitan Water District. Next year, I mean, we're going to have to do the same, because we still have the same lousy weather. And it's going to go on like this for eternity because of climate change. And you're putting a big burden on the city of Los Angeles for these huge projects that the water isn't there for. We are a desert, folks. So please think in human scale for this city and the residents you're leaving behind with these huge, massive projects. Jobs, we want them. Please give your everything to the Hollywood studios, because that's what the real jobs are. Do everything you can to get the studios to hire and build and film here. Well, I'd rather put up with the filming than to put up with the traffic that all of these monster projects are going to create, and it's going to be hell on earth, and it's going to be us, not anybody else. Thank you.
Juan Dude.
Yeah, my objection to all these jobs that you're creating is that none of these jobs actually pay enough money to buy a residence, a home. You keep people on minimum wage, and you keep the prices on real estate so high that nobody can afford them. Mr. Wizard came to me the other day saying, I have a big family, and I make a pretty good salary, and we still have a hard time. How do you guys do it out there on the street? How do we do it? I don't really know. We live on $1 a day. I run my whole campaign on my food stamp money, $500. Gruel, how much have you spent on your campaign? Garcetti, I got thrown out of your party for looking homeless. And you're running on a homeless ticket? You're saying that you're going to solve the homeless problem? Until we find a parallel system where everybody has a home, all your stupid developments are going to be laughed at all over the world, because you are not the great society that you say you are. Anybody can go homeless for any reason in this homeless making system, and it's all about greed. The big developers will have 5, 10, 15, 20 homes, while the poor idiots on the street will never have a chance to have a home. So go ahead and continue your greediness.
Yeah. All right. Next speaker is Aaron Wall. Thank you, Mr. Wall. Sergeant, if you could assist with the hand mic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm not going to take up too much of you guys' time. How you doing, Ms. Rotha? I know Ms. Rotha from Venice Beach. Apologize if you guys can't understand me. I was told many years ago I had a stroke, so my voice is lost. But I was here many years ago speaking on behalf of artists from Venice. Today I'm speaking on nursing home abuse. And many of you may have heard about the woman who died, couldn't get CPR because they wouldn't give her CPR, so she died. And that was very disturbing, but it wasn't surprising. It was unfortunate because her life was gone, but it wasn't surprising based upon my own experience with the way that nurse homes work. And all I'm asking is that someone steps in and makes sure they're going by the rules to take care of the people who are forced to go into nurse homes, because no one has to be neglected or abused. And I've lived here in LA for over 30 years, and unfortunately I'm in a bad health situation, but I'm a younger guy. I can be a little more vocal. Some of these seniors don't know anything about the internet. They don't know about being involved in the community. And I'm asking for the city and the mayor to get involved. Thank you. God bless y'all.
Thank you very much. Avak, if you could have someone from the CLA talk to Mr. Wall, just to find out, staff. Last card, George Abrams from the Beechwood Canyon Neighborhood Association.
Some copies distributed in case you want to see them. Came here to speak against the Millennium. Yeah, you can give me whatever's left. Okay, the Millennium Project is unprecedented in Los Angeles history. It's not a project at all, but a blank check. There seems to be only one issue at stake, and that's the desire to rush a set of entitlements through City Council, granting an economic gift to a single developer. The statement of overriding considerations, while it acknowledges the enormous harm that will result, it says that that doesn't matter, just so that a list of minuscule and dubious benefits may be achieved for the failed transit-oriented development planning model now being rejected by countries worldwide. They tried it, and it didn't work, and now they're getting rid of it. And this is also an abuse of the secret process. Millennium promoters have been presenting only artist rendering of slender towers surrounded by open space, but if only the height and not the floor area ratio is limited, there is nothing in the FEIR to prevent us from winding up with the 6-to-1 FAR Borg cube. At the Hillside Federation meeting last month, they emphasized open space views while only showing 3 images of the building. They never discussed the composition or uses. And the reason is because they could not, because the FEIR grants enormous and virtually unlimited range of options. It could be retail, condos, apartments, or hotel, or any combination thereof. How could there be such a rush to grant exceptions to parking, height, massing, and zoning when the developer has no idea what he wants to build? The feeble excuse given at the CPC hearing was that the market conditions may change with time, but they didn't acknowledge that the community impacts may change with time too. So not only should the development limitations should be disallowed, and also the reduction in parking requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, George. That completes public comment. Mr. Clerk, what do we have before us?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
The desk is clear.
Any announcements, members? Any announcements? Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, I just wanted, I think members might already have heard on the news that NBC announced today that The Tonight Show is going to be leaving Southern California next year for New York. And I thought that it was important for us to note that the reason for that move stated by NBC was really the needs of the new host of The Tonight Show. So it had nothing to do with competitive advantages of New York over Los Angeles. But it is a reminder to all of us of the fragility of this industry and its production, the contributions that it makes to our local economy. So I just think we should use this moment as an opportunity to remember that we have to redouble our efforts to ensure that television and film production remains here in Southern California. And Councilmember Garcetti's motion dealing with pilot production will have a big impact on increasing the number of jobs here. And so I would call upon our council and the City Attorney's Office to expedite bringing that to a vote so that we can move forward in ensuring that we maintain our commitment to keeping this industry here in Los Angeles.
Mr. Krikorian, thank you for your great work on that. I know the Tonight Show is going for Jimmy Fallon, but they'll come back one day. And I remember there was a Tomorrow Show with the late, great Tom Snyder, who used to give interviews late into the night. And I had conversations with them about getting part of the Today Show out here because we have a better Today every day in Los Angeles than they do in New York, but that's another story. So that's very good, Mr. Krikorian. Thank you so much. Any other announcements, members, that comes forth at this time? Any adjourning motions at this time? We have an adjourning motion. We all please rise and remove your hats as we stand in reverence of those who went before us for adjourning motions. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think everyone in this council has had occasion to work from time to time with Larry Gross, who leads the Coalition for Economic Survival and has been one of the great advocates for tenants' rights throughout our city. I'm sad to report that his father, William, passed away at the age of 91 on March 25th of this year, and I ask that we adjourn in his memory. William Gross was born in 1921 in Flatbush in Brooklyn, New York. He was the son of an immigrant tailor from Hungary and was a charter member of the Amalgamated Clothing Workers Union after coming to this country. He served our country as part of the Greatest Generation. He was a combat veteran of World War II, along with both of his brothers, 3 brothers from the family, all serving in World War II at the same time. And William was an Army Air Corps lieutenant on a B-24 bomber. Mr. Gross moved to Florida around 1970 from New York, where he became an upholstery trade school instructor at Dorsey Vocational Skills Center in Florida, and he had a great influence on many, many generations of students to whom he gave the opportunity to have a trade and to be able to make a living, and he often ran into former students who would express their love and respect and admiration and gratitude to him because of the skills he taught them and because of the person he was. Mr. Gross's funeral service was held on March 27th, and at that service an Air Force Honor Guard was present and provided Larry Gross with a flag that draped his casket and showed the respect that our country owed to him for all of his service. So I know all of our sympathies are with Larry and his family at this difficult time, and I ask that we adjourn in memory of his father, William Gross.
Very good. Members, Mr. Krikorian's colleague on the west side of Chambers, Mr. Koretz.
I was just asking if I could be added to that motion.
Second that by Mr. Koretz. Thank you very much. Members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Ed Kazir. Ed Kazir Jr. lived to be 89 years old, was very involved in his community. I'm sure he came before the planning committee as a representative for the Hancock Park Homeowners Association. He always wrote very detailed one-page letters. I remember when I was a deputy for John Farrar, you'd get a very one-page letter but concise of what he thought should be done in the community. His beautiful wife for over 55 years, Yvonne, who's a regular at St. Brendan's Church, Catholic church in the neighborhood, survived by 3 children. Ed Kazir Jr., a great Angelino who was born in Nevada, but a great lawyer. We adjourn in his memory on this date. Seeing there's other business before us, let's go on to serve the city of Los Angeles well. Every day is an absolute blessing. Thank you and have a good day.